Hi, everybody. Hey, I'm Leah. I'm extremely honored today to introduce you to Neil Hilborn, who I had the pleasure of meeting and interviewing just a couple of hours ago, and I can confirm he is just as pleasant to talk to as he is to watch on YouTube and to hear perform. So you guys are really in for a treat. For those who don't know Neil, he is an internationally beloved spoken word poet who has performed in, I have some stats for you here, 41 states and 8 countries. You may know him best for a poem that went mega viral in 2013 called OCD, and it continues to go viral every so often. And in the decades since, he's continued to tour and inspire. His work has over 150 million views online, which makes him one of the most watched poets ever. He's the author of 3 best-selling books of poetry, Our Numbered Days, The Future, and now About Time, his new book, which releases today. So this is like the release party. And About Time tackles mental health in the age of COVID and other global crises with humor and devastating honesty. What I find so important about Neil's poetry is the way that he shines a light on our darkest impulses and struggles, especially with things like mental health and even suicide. However, he doesn't let his readers nor his audience just wallow in the despair. Instead, in some of these darkly comedic odes, he writes about pathways through it. His writing is very conversational, and it feels like sitting down with an old friend to commiserate and hold on to the joy despite it all. In the wake of atrocities like the COVID pandemic, we're all still struggling, whether conscious of it or not, to make meaning out of not just the loss of life, but also the incredibly bizarre journey all of us have shared these past 5 years since that happened. And in that context, I find his work a necessary salve. It's a reminder that life goes on and we can find love in the world around us and find the joy. In the poem No Part from this book, he writes, "I'm a fistful of electricity. Some nights I walk into the house and all the light bulbs explode. I can't imagine a more fitting description of such an electric performer, and you are all in for a treat." Please welcome Neil Hilborn.
What's up, y'all? Hello. Thank you. That's maybe the best intro I've literally ever gotten in my whole life. I've never had somebody write an essay extolling my virtues to introduce me. That feels pretty good. It feels pretty good. Do you want to come on the road with me? You can. I'm going to Michigan next. Do you want to come hang out in Lansing? All right, cool, great. We're gonna run this back. Hell yeah, dude! I need one. All right. Okay, cool, here we go. All right, I'm gonna do some poems. I'm thrilled that I get to do this, man. This is my favorite thing. And I've been in my little end of days box for the last 4 years, and so I haven't been out of the house much. And so it's nice to be in front of you doing poems while wearing shoes. I'm gonna do a bunch of poems. I do just want to echo what Suzanne said. It is scary in the world right now, and I don't know what the future holds, and I don't know a lot of stuff, but what I do know is that I like poems, and it's the thing that I'm good at, and I think it's the thing that brings the most good into the world, so that's what I'm going to do tonight, and I hope it helps, and I hope that you get something out of it, and that it maybe gives you a little more something to fight with, you know? So that's what we're doing. All right. Okay, I've been starting all my sets with this, and I'm not gonna stop now. Here we go. I would like this evening to make a compact with the stars. I would like us to agree that we will continue to shine even after we are dead. I'm not ignoring the dirt. The dirt will come later. I just want to begin among the stars. I would like to thank this world that allows me to be in it, even though of it I am so very scared. I'd like to thank the one therapist in North Carolina who takes my health insurance. I'd like to suggest, if your feet are cold, consider your laptop charger. I would like to acknowledge dogs and their willingness to receive pets from me. I'd like 8 full hours of sleep, but I'll take 5 and a nap on a plane. I'd like apples to be sweeter and mangoes to be closer to me. I'd like to say that yours is the only permission you need to love yourself. I want to hurl wishes into the fog. I want to be ungovernable as a possum in a darkening field. I want to drive around the block because the song isn't over yet. I'd like to thank concrete, snow days, the dark that's always rising. I'd like to thank the dirt. You thought I forgot about the dirt. The dirt holds my grandmother, and someday it will hold me. Thank you, dirt, for doing everything with persistence and grace. Thank you for the mirror you hold up to me. Thank you, stars, for making the dirt and me. I promise to become the dirt one day. I would like this evening, in front of everything that lives between here and the end, I'd like to make a promise. Whatever I've got left in me, you can have it. I've been gathering these stones. I think it's time to roll them all away. Brookdale, how the f*** are y'all doing? Hell yeah, those are some of my feelings. I'm so excited to be here in the state that is the most New Jersey. Listen, New Jersey forever. I had the absolute pleasure to I got in a little bit early today, so I went over to Asbury and I went to one of my favorite places in the world. I don't know if you've been to the Silver Ball Retro Arcade over on the shore, but I'm probably autistic, so I love pinball. Dog, I love pinball. I can't even express how much I love it. And my friend Natalie was so kind as to indulge me, just being like, okay, but this pinball machine's really big, and this pinball machine's the Addams Family. You know? So thanks, Nat. Appreciate it. All right, dope. I love New Jersey. My favorite story about New Jersey is the last time I performed here was probably 2019. I was at House of Independence over on Cookman, and hell yeah. And that day, it was a weird day, and not made any less weird by the fact that after I'd done sound check, I was just walking to the beach because I was like, well, the ocean's right there, I gotta go see it, right? Not knowing that it was that ocean, but anyway, you've seen it. It's cold and gross. It's not the best example of the Atlantic Ocean. It's just not. It's fine. There are worse ones, but there are better ones. Anyway, walking to see something pretty for one second, and I just like walked up to a stoplight and I looked over to my left, and to my left was Fred Armisen. He was just hanging out because he was apparently the keynote speaker at a cat convention that was occurring. This isn't even a bit. I'm not making this up. That really happened. And I just looked at him and I was like, hey, I love your work. You're an excellent drummer. And he was like, thanks, clearly not wanting to speak to me anymore. Which, legit, I look like this, and I was with my friend Mark, who looks more like this. And he was like, oh, you stinky, gross boys. Like, please don't speak to me anymore. And so I was just like, thanks for your work, bye. And then we both walked into the pinball arcade. So, New Jersey forever! All right. Woo! All right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna talk later, don't get me wrong. But, all right. Great. Here we go. Okay. All right. I'm gonna do some funny poems. There will be sadness later because I know why you're here. But I'm gonna do some funny poems first. I promised Suzanne I'd do this because of Paris and because of writing about a sense of place. But it's not. You'll get it. All right. This poem's called Sciurus vulgaris, which is the Latin name for the European red squirrel. So, once in Paris, the only time I've ever been to Paris, a squirrel on my head. I know it was a squirrel because I saw him in the tree right after, tiny criminal proud of his transgressions, staring me down as if to say, and I do it again. He said this in a French accent because we were, after all, in France. So, Sarah, with whom I'd fallen big, dumb, wild in love on this trip in the way that only an American in Italy can see, our group went to Athens, then Rome, then Florence, then Paris. How could I not have fallen in love with somebody? Sarah said she saw a bathroom nearby, and she led me by the hand toward where she thought it might have been. She had to lead me because I was entirely focused on wiping squirrel out of my eye. Jean-Jacques the squirrel must have been subsisting solely on prunes and cigarettes because this was such a runny dump it doesn't even feel right to call it gravy, maybe. Crap cascade. So, this squirrel has butt in my eye, but I can't believe somebody let me write that in a book that has an ISBN number. Like, literally, like, this, I cannot, I'm shocked at the I get away with. All right, okay, the squirrel's, all right, but now I'm gonna turn it, it's gonna get pretty now, okay, you ready? All right, okay, the squirrel, yeah, butt pissed, all right, but maybe there is a God, because now, the love of my life, Sarah's holding my hand. She's telling me I'll be fine, while straining to contain a giant laugh. She is gravity. She is what keeps everything close, even as she spins. Her palm is warm against mine, but her rings are smooth and cool. She chews her fingernails, so only fingertips grace the back of my hand. She's never held my hand before this moment. Tonight, she's gonna kiss me in a stairwell overlooking the Champs-Elysees, but right now I don't know that. Right now, I'm just a boy covered in flames, fully incandescent. We never did find that bathroom and I swear this is true, I'd never lie to you. Not about this, not about her. The clouds sheared open and rain, real rain, clear, clean rain fell all over us and we just stood there like warm scarecrows, arms out, the water washing away our can't sleep and won't answer the phone. No more fear or shame, only water. Oh, easily breakable sky. Oh, planes and boats and trains that brought us to that plaza in that city built of light. Oh, reasons to stay and how they are outnumbered by the reasons to go. Oh, the going, the pushing off into dawn, even though the sun is in our eyes. Oh, the hands of fate and time and Sarah, and how they always know where to find me. Oh, let me dream of nothing but warm radiators and a pantry that's always full. Let me never make 2 wrong turns in a row, or let me be desecrated by rodents every day if it means I get to go again to Paris. With the rain coming down and the summer hurtling toward its fevered orange end, and my hand there in her impossible hand. Thanks, y'all. Hell yeah, good. I'm gonna move over just a little tiny bit because now I'm centered in front of that banner and the camera. Is that better, Sergey? Am I good? Do you want me any particular spot, or is that, no? I'm good? All right, dope. Shout out Sergey. And hell yeah. Shout out BTV also. It was so much fun being in a TV studio. I'm like, I don't often get like prolonged stage fright. I'll get a little bit of stage fright. Like I'm sitting there and I got like butterflies in my stomach for about like 30 seconds, you know, but then I was like, no, I'm a professional, I'm good at this. But like on TV, I was like, this is different. I got a lav mic and there's like a bunch of lights and like they're professionals. I gotta be good at this. So I had a great time. Thanks for having me on, y'all. And I didn't know they all got archived on YouTube. I'm really excited to show that to some people because I thought we had a really excellent interview because you asked really good questions, Leah. So hell yeah. All right, dope. Okay, a couple more funny poems, and then sadness. So, this next poem. Yeah, I'll do this. This is fun. Okay, so this poem. This poem is based on a prompt that I came up with, where I tasked poets with coming up with minor curses, right? Like, not like, you know, I hope you die or whatever, but just like, I hope you're like really inconvenienced. Because I straight up, like, some dudes on Facebook tried to scam me and I was really mad at them, and so I wrote this poem to curse them. So this poem is called I Hope You Dance, parentheses, until you are dead, with apologies to and repudiation of Leanne Womack. So, that's a very funny reference for the 5 people that got it. So I'm hilarious. Thank you. All right. Okay. I hope you dance till you're dead. I hope you win a lifetime supply of Chili's fajitas just before Chili's leaves your town. You can keep the supply, but now the closest Chili's is 3 hours away. In other words, I hope your dreams coming true turns out to be a massive inconvenience. I hope the day you discover you're afraid of whales is the day your boyfriend proposes to you while swimming with them. I wish you 1,000 balloons and no helium. I hope every Grand Canyon is shrouded in fog, every World Heritage Site dripping in scaffolding. I hope you only get Tinder matches on your last day of vacation. I hope you inherit your dream house, but it's in New Jersey, which is the state with the highest property tax rate. And also the state that is New Jersey. I'll fight any of y'all. No, I'm kidding. I won't. Please don't do that. My hands hurt. I'm very weak. All right. I hope all your plane tickets are $20 and standby. I hope you look at a mountain and can only think, oh, cool, a mountain. I hope you get paid regular, first of the month, but it has to come by mail as a check, and I hope your mailbox is full of ants, and when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance, but it's one of those medieval dancing plagues, so yeah, I hope you dance. Let's all boogie till we're dead. May Saint Vitus's dance carry us off to hell. So stupid. All right, good. That's good. Good. All right. I wasn't gonna do this because I don't normally like to read things off my phone, but like, it seems particularly pertinent given that I just talked about. Okay, so the thing about ants, right? Is the mailbox being full of ants is a thing that just like happened to me because I live in North Carolina now. Grew up in Texas, lived in Minnesota for 15 years, and then I got cold, so we left. And also we wanted to, like do hobby farming stuff, and I'm too soft to deal with chicken popsicles if a heat lamp goes out. Like literally, that's kind of what it was. And I love North Carolina. It's a little scary right now, but I promised I wouldn't talk about that. Okay, anyway, so we're doing hobby farming stuff, and I'm an idiot from the suburbs who doesn't know anything. So I'm learning a ton of stuff, like right now, which is simultaneously terrifying because I'm making a bunch of mistakes, but also it's nice because I don't have a ton of confidence in myself as a person, and the fact that sometimes when I don't know something, and then I Google how to do it, and then I screw it up the first time, but I do it right the second time, and there's been something really, really edifying for me in that. So this is a brand new poem. I know I'm supposed to be reading poems out of the new book, but like this is like brand new. This poem has a title, but it sucks. I'm terrible at titling my stuff, so if you could come talk to me after the show and give me a title for this thing, I would love to steal it from you. And by steal it from you, I mean put your name in the next book. When it shows up, I'll attribute it like title written by blah, blah, blah. So, because currently the title is Sometimes a Hole is Just a Hole, which is like, god awful, right? It's like shockingly bad. So, here we go. All right. North Carolina regulations state that the mailbox must be 6 to 8 inches from the curb and 41 to 45 inches above the road surface, which is why I'm out here in August with a dead man's post hole digger. To be clear, that's not a kind of post hole digger. I just needed a bunch of farm implements, so I got them at an estate sale, and I could not pass up the opportunity to tell you that in a super dramatic way. So the mailbox has got to be a certain height, and I don't think wood posts grow if you water them. Got to be a new hole for for the post, because the old one is replete with ants, hence mailbox full of ants. Get it? All right, okay. Roadside holes are nightclubs for ants, and this one is at capacity. It takes a while, but I get the post hole dug. Maybe I'm not a failure. Maybe I am worthy of love. Maybe I am worthy of love. I clearly don't ruin everything I touch, and as I'm stretching to pat myself on the back, I step into the ant hole. I twist the absolute out of my ankle. My leg is a child psychologist, and my foot is resolving unfinished business, and my ankle has been dead the whole time. That's a funny joke, right? Thank you. Okay, listen, I think that's, all right, you'll get it. You'll get it after, in 30 seconds. All right, okay, all right. Because Bruce Willis has been dead the whole time, right? I told you. All right. Okay, all right, it's been dead the whole time. There's a fun math that happens when you're laying in a ditch with a messed up ankle next to a bunch of ants who are not your friends. How long exactly can I wallow in my self-pity before outside forces compel me to get over my 25 seconds, it turns out, before the first ant bites. Not everything has to mean something. The malfunctioning stoplight doesn't have to represent how you suck at maintaining boundaries. But here, there didn't have to be a hole. I made there be a hole, and then that hole hurt me. There's gotta be something in there. Close your fingers in as many car doors as you want. Call your ex again if you think this time you'll learn something. All I've got are these hands and a shovel, and I'm gonna keep digging. Time for sadness. I know why you came here. Yeah, exactly. Hell yeah. It's a Saturday night, and you're here listening to poems. Sorry to diagnose you, but you have depression. You gotta go to therapy now. Why did I think it was Saturday? Thank you. It's the jet lag. It's the jet lag from Chicago. Yeah. All right. Good night, y'all. All right. Whatever. That's even worse. You came here on a Wednesday. What the is wrong with you? You could be going to bed early. That's way more fun than this. No, I'm kidding. I'm having a great time. I hope you are too. All right. Hell yeah. Yeah. Dope. All right. Okay. All right. Sadness. Time for some recreational sadness. Here we go. This is the poem that Leah referenced. It's called No Part. Everything I ever asked for, I received. Advantages and punishments, shots and bars, songs inside the fog, inside the world. Take it from me, it is possible to ask for the wrong things. I said I wanted crazy love, and I got it. I asked for an accurate mirror, and pain is what I received. I thought it would be interesting to be sad, and you know what? I was right. Sadness drifted into the apartment and made sure we'd always remember its visit. Blue hair in every drain, new butt prints in the couch, its name carved into all the food in the fridge. I am a long drive to a closed restaurant. I'm a mistake everyone has to pretend was intentional. I'm a fistful of electricity. Some nights I walk in the house and all the light bulbs explode. Dope, more sadness. So a fair amount of this book deals with me going through some addiction issues. It's funny. It's not funny, but it's not ha-ha funny, but it's like funny old world funny. I thought, because I was like, okay, so my family's got a whole history of addiction problems, mostly with alcohol, and I was like, well, I know what that looks like, and I'm very I'm really smart mentally, and I'm very clear on what my mental patterns are, so that's not going to be a problem for me. And then one morning, it was a couple years into COVID, and it was about 10 a.m., and I found myself, I was like, well, I'm going to drink some vodka to stop my hands from shaking. Then I was like, whoops. So I wrote a bunch of poems about it. This is the third poem of the book. It's the second poem of the book. It's called Stop Me. Stop me if you've heard this one. A guy walks into a bar and says, take my wife, please. She deserves to be happy. A guy walks into a bar and asks for a sandwich. The bartender says, "We don't serve food here." The guy says, "Then I stole someone's sandwich last time I was here." Stop me if you've heard this one. A guy walks into a bar for the 5th time this week, and it's Thursday. A guy walks into a bar, is greeted by the bartender and 2 regulars, and he does not turn around. A guy walks into a bar because outside it's a whole bunch of stuff that's not the bar, and inside it's just the bar. A guy walks into his living room because all of the bars are closed. A guy reaches all the way back in the liquor cabinet because he wouldn't appreciate the good stuff right now. Stop me if you've heard this one. A guy walks into a bar and keeps walking. A guy puts a 20 into the jukebox even though nobody asked him to. A guy is dancing alone even though the bar is not empty. A guy gets on a train, but the train has a bar. A guy goes for a walk by the train tracks, but someone clearly last night turned that into a bar. A guy walks into a bar with a joint and says, "Hey, what kind of joint is this?" A guy lights a joint, but he's outside the bar by himself in the dumpster. A guy writes on the dumpster, "Help, please." A guy is always seeking aid in ways that can be mistaken for a good time. A guy is handshakes with no eye contact. Fireworks at 3 p.m. Snow angels before the blizzard even ends. A guy walks into a bar for the first time this week. For like 30 minutes, he feels good about himself. It's Thursday. Thanks, y'all. More sadness, but I promise it's going somewhere. So this next poem, this is one of my favorite poems in the book, and it's also hard. It's hard for me to read still. You know, some poems get easier as you continue to do them, just because you get desensitized to them. But this one keeps beating me up, man. And I don't know. In the past, I would have just not done it because I'm like, don't hurt yourself. But now I'm like, no, I'm in a stable relationship. It's very good, and I go to therapy. That's really nice. And I got a bunch of animals at home that are all going to snuggle me. So maybe I got some time and I got some energy to do things that are scary to me. So, all that's being said, this poem is called "A Long Night's Journey into Morning." I need to talk about. Sorry. Nope. Later. I need to talk about drinking water. I need to talk about the head injury I received in 2012. That was the November that I fell through as though I were a comet caught in Jupiter's inevitable arms. There are things to say about my broken bicycle and helmet, the mugging that got me there, the snow falling while the kids went through my pockets. I need to process those things too, but not here. Here, I want to say that the hospital was surprisingly warm. The nurses charged my phone so I could call Hugh and Sarah, who were waiting for me at my house. It was still snowing when they released us all at 4 a.m. with instructions to not let me sleep for a while. Warm like the hospital was the Perkins, where I ate pancakes and watched the sun come up over University Avenue. And pancakes were the boat and the syrup the river. The pancake boat of Charon and the syrup river Styx, the river through Asphodel. Warm like the hospital, the boat, the pancake boat that led me through the unimaginable night into the tedious day. The day melts snow and allows robot phone calls. The day of alarms and bus schedules. The day I never asked for, but nonetheless received. The day came, and into its light, I emerged a more fearful person, all broken shoulder and not going out alone to greet the street lamps. Not all hard times turn you into a better person. Sometimes you go through something that undoes all the work you did before, all the yoga and therapy and being mindful, all that good just falls apart like a broken wheel, spokes leaping into the darkened row of hedges. Sometimes you're in pain, but you don't learn a thing. Also, man, don't let anybody fetishize your pain or what you're going through. Sometimes the thing is just bad And the only thing you get out of it is not wanting to do it again. And that's also important, but you don't have to let somebody turn you into an inspiration. You know what I'm saying? All right. Okay. Okay, good. All right. Okay, cool. All right, Past Neil wrote the set list, and he's wrong a lot, but he was right about this. I'm gonna do this. Okay, here we go. You might recognize this one. The first time I saw her, everything in my head went quiet. All the tics, all the constantly refreshing images just disappeared. When you have obsessive compulsive disorder, you don't really get quiet moments. Even in bed, I'm thinking, to lock the door, yes. To wash my hands, yes. To lock the door, yes. To wash my hands, yes. And when I saw her, the only thing I could think about was the hairpin curve of her lips, or the eyelash on her cheek, the eyelash on her cheek, the eyelash on her cheek. I knew I had to talk to her. Asked her out 6 times in 30 seconds. She said yes after the 3rd one, but none of them felt right, so I had to keep going. On our first date, I spent more time organizing my meal by color than I did eating or talking to her. But she loved it. She loved that I had to kiss her goodbye 16 times, or 24 times if it was Wednesday. She loved that it took us forever to walk home because there are lots of cracks on our sidewalk. When we moved in together, she said she felt safe, like no one would ever rob us because I definitely locked the door 18 times. I'd always watch her mouth when she talked. 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 When she said she loved me, her mouth would curl up at the edges. At night, she'd lay in bed and watch me turn all the lights off and on and 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 off. She'd close her eyes and imagine that days and nights were just passing in front of her. Some mornings, I'd start kissing her goodbye, but she'd just leave because I was making her late for work. When I stopped at a crack in the sidewalk, she kept walking. When she said she loved me, her mouth was a straight line. She told me I was taking up too much of her time. Last week, she started sleeping at her mother's place. She told me she shouldn't have let me get so attached to her. This whole thing was a mistake, but how can it be a mistake that I don't have to wash my hands after I touch her? Love is not a mistake. It's killing me that she can run away from this, and I just can't. I can't go out and find someone new because I always think of her. Usually, when I obsess over things, I see germs sneaking into my skin. I see myself crushed by an endless succession of cars, and she was the first beautiful thing I ever got stuck on. I want to wake up every morning and think about the way she holds her steering wheel, how she turns shower knobs like she's opening a safe, how she blows out candles, 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 blows out. Now, I just think about who else is kissing her. I can't breathe because he only kisses her once. He doesn't care if it's perfect. I want her back so bad. I leave the door unlocked. I leave the lights on. Thanks, y'all. Hell yeah. You know what's funny? Oh yeah, I know, buddy. It's hard to be alive. It's dog. It is so hard to live. And I have a little tiny puppy. He's 11 months old, and his name's Charlie, and he's a nightmare. He's a horrible demon. I love him very much, but he sucks. So he's gonna be good. He's gonna be a good dog, but right now he's just got raptor dingo brain, you know? So like, I watch him looking at me, he's like, don't destroy things, don't do it, Charlie, be good. And then he's like, I gotta chew the carpet! So, anyway, so I love dogs. I love all animals, and, yeah, okay, good. I can't start crying yet. Okay, here we go. Oh, I can, good, all right. All right, here we go, a couple more sad poems. Speaking of dogs, this is the first poem in the book. This poem still scares me, but it, we're doing hard stuff. This is the first poem in the book. It features my dog, Zoe. She's a black German Shepherd, and she is the love of my life, other than, you know, my wife and my career and the people that mean a lot to me. But Zoe's high up there. So, all right, here we go. Super sad. It's called "We Are Sitting in the Car After Leaving the Dog Park, and Zoe, my dog, tells me she loves me." I'm trying to do what my therapist recommended and just sit in silence. The car isn't running. The stereo isn't yelling at me. Nothing is happening at all. And sure, it's St. Paul, Minnesota, where shootings happen, but not in whatever neighborhood one happens to be in at the moment. And it's just gotten dark. And no one on this or any adjacent street has started their cars in like a month. Quarantine, you know. And I'm trying to sit in abject silence for like 3 minutes, but the ringing in my ears has become a bell, and then a conspiracy of bells, and then whatever sound comes 30 seconds after a pipe bomb, and my brain is shouting over the top of it, "I'm gonna kill myself, I'm gonna kill myself," and me, not the voice which sounds like me but isn't me, I try to think of what my therapist, whose name is Aaron, I remind myself, told me: acknowledge the thoughts, but don't attach to them. Pay attention to your hands and what around you they can touch. Notice your breathing. I know it's corny, but do it. Notice the way your shirt touches somewhere new as your breath moves you. Ask the thoughts what they want. Why am I going to kill myself? And if I do, go all the way to the logical end. Who will it hurt? Who gets left behind? What good remains undone? Dissect the bells. Separate the ringing into a flat expanse and not the towering blaze it's telling you it is. What does each bell sound like? And who carried them there? And when will they be called away? Notice your hands, your hands, which is when Zoe, my dog, who I love, who came to us 6 months ago from a house that tried and failed to love her, licks my ear. She's right. We have been sitting here too long. I start the car and let it warm up for a minute because it looks like it might snow. I'm not going to say like Zoe saved my life, because like a lot of things saved my life, you know. But Zoe is, she was one reason not to go. Because it was like, no, this thing, oh no, the only thing that makes me cry is animals. But like this creature loves me and needs me. And that's a reason outside of myself, you know? So, okay, thanks Zoe. All right, here we go. This poem's still hard for me to do, and I've been doing it a lot, and it doesn't get any easier, but it feels important, so here we go. It's called The Door. The hard part, probably, is admitting that I really can't handle it anymore. I can't just hire someone to take care of the 2-year-old unpaid parking tickets. I threw money at my loneliness, and all I got were friends who think of drunk driving as a sport. I stared at my phone for so long that I grew a glass face. First, you say you feel nothing. Then your eyes start to agree with you. Then one day, someone you love, probably, cries in front of you, and your only thought is, when is dinner? There's only one way left to talk about being sad that won't make me more sad. I'm so sad, I jumped off a bridge and missed. I'm so sad, one time I called my therapist Mom. I've made enough jokes about killing myself that I'm starting to think they're funny. Every time I say goodbye, I find myself adding forever, because who knows when it'll be true. The text message is a light bulb on a bad wire. I start typing and the ellipses flicker. If I say delete, the filament pops and the whole light sleeps. Tomorrow is a lease I have to sign every morning. Get me a carrier pigeon. Fire up the old telegraph. Open the window and let me shout for help. Something is burning. Bring water. Bring water. I'm so sad. I fell in love with hands and a row of teeth. I'm so sad. I line up the knives and stare at them until one of them speaks. Where's the bad part? How do I carve it out? By now, is it all right? Cool, thanks y'all. Okay. All Okay. That's the sad poem. That's the sad part. Which is not to say that there's not going to be sadness for in the rest of the set, but I promise I'm gonna center it in joy. You know what I mean? Like I think that if anything, if writing this book has taught me anything, and if the past 4 years have taught me anything, it's that like the thing that's gonna get me through is focusing on the that makes me happy and the stuff that makes me want to be more alive. So that's what these last poems are gonna be about. All right. All that being said, the next poem or 3 years, they're going to be kind of dumb, but I'm kind of dumb. So this next poem I love this poem very much, and it's low key. It's the philosophical center of this whole book, which I didn't realize until Michael Mlekaday. Shout out Michael Mlekaday, editor of my book, author of The Dead Eat Everything. Mike pointed out, like, hey, this is actually, like, this poem's, like, sort of, like, really dope and maybe really important to the whole thing. And I was like, oh, for sure, the poem about sandwiches? But then I started taking it seriously, you know? So this poem's called The Earl of. Putting aside, for a moment, people, the thing at the top of the list of what I'd die for is sandwiches. People have been, on balance, a terrible idea, but sandwiches never make you feel wrong unless you make them wrong. 2 walls of bread and whatever they can contain. The boundaries of the universe, if we're letting mayo, pickles, and whatever else represent whatever else is out there. Give me a long enough sandwich and a place to stand, and I will move the earth. If I've seen further, it's by standing on the sandwiches of giants. Once I was driving through Cleveland at 1/2 bastard when there came the sign, melt, bar and grilled, a grilled cheese with kimchi on it, and I could then finish slow sailing all the way to Toronto. Toronto and Buffalo are the bread around Lake Ontario. The US and Canada are the bagel halves, and I'm the cream cheese. A poem is a sandwich in which something messy is neatly contained. I take a pill in the morning and a pill at night, and my day becomes a sandwich. I am the bread, and you are the bread, and we hold love between us, if forced by some unfair devil to choose. Death or continue on in a world without sandwiches. I'd choose to live, because I have every day so far, and I can't imagine stopping soon. But at night, in bed, the blanket and mattress, my whole wheat armor, I dream of that which is held first outside, then inside. I dream of all that could be, just waiting to be built. Thanks, y'all. Tanisha, my publisher from Button Poetry, texted me a couple days before the like right after I sent in the final draft of this, and they were like, Neil, I just need you to know, I did a Control F on your manuscript, and I'm gonna need you to guess what word came up 37 times. And it is the word sandwiches. It is. And that poem only accounts for about half of them. Straight up. Because you know what? I'm tired of pretending that I'm cool. I've been trying to be cool for my whole life, and I'm 35, and most of the time I'm covered in dirt and animal poop. I'm just not cool anymore, and I like sandwiches. So like that's what, hell yeah. All right, speaking of not being cool, I think what COVID mostly did to people was it just made them weirder. And this thing happened to me, man, where I started reading a bunch of stuff about like Hermetic magic, and the teachings of like early occultists and stuff, partially because I thought like, oh, well, if I learned about the faculty of Abrac, then I could stop drinking. But like really what I could do to stop drinking is like going to therapy and being honest with my wife. Anyway, but this thing happens when you read a bunch of weird occult manuals. You get harder to talk to, and people don't want to be friends with you as much. These are 2 poems about that. Yeah, all right, cool. This first one's about aliens. Okay, I just want to say, I'm not like into aliens. It's not my thing. I think most of the time, I need to be clear about that because it comes with some certain political baggage. And I need to be very clear that I'm not a capital C, capital T conspiracy theorist. I think the things behind planes are steam, and most of the bad things that happen in the world is because of billionaires. You know what I mean? So anyway, thank you. That's the easiest thing I could have said in this room, but thank you. Anyway, but I think that okay, so there's this one thing, so there was this, okay, it's called the Gulf Breeze incident, and the reason it's interesting to me is because the dude that it happened to is like the ultimate Florida man. His name's Ed Walters, and he got abducted by aliens and he hated it. He hated every single second of it. I'm like, I don't know what aliens are, right? It's the collective unconsciousness or it's something poking through another dimension, whatever the hell it is. He like touched the face of God and rejected it. I'm fascinated by Ed Walters, so I wrote this poem about it. It's called The Gulf Breeze Incident. In sleep, you know, is what the alien said to Ed Walters on that November night in 1988. The air in the Florida Panhandle was too thick and slow to be air. Ed's trying to breathe soup as the sun settles on him and his malfunctioning pool pump. The familiar hum begins. The blue light descends, just like in the movies. And you can say it's because of the movies if you want to, but no matter how right you probably are, I'd rather live in a world I don't fully understand. So, the Greys have come back for Ed, and he's shouting into the probably empty sky, "What do you want from me?" Florida man. The only response: in sleep, you know. Ed dreams of two snakes coiling around a severed arm, a child crying at the end of a hallway lined with chairs. He's mowing his lawn with a razor blade. He's watching himself watch him sleep. Ed wakes and doesn't know aliens and their promises. Ed fries eggs for breakfast. Ed loads his gun. The next time that blue light barges in, Ed waves the pistol at the sky and demands to know what he doesn't know. No answer this time. Just the hum fading toward dawn like a moving truck containing your best friend. Ask the emptiness a question and receive emptiness in return. Spend your days waiting for sleep. In sleep, you know. In the morning, burns it all away. Dope. Hell yeah. All right, great. One more like weird poem, and then, I mean, they're all kind of weird. I'm irrevocably weird, dude. My brain got broken. I'm just not like I'm gonna be like this forever. But I'm kind of liking it. You know, my wife is my best friend, and I hang out with her all the time, and then if other people aren't interested in the weird shit I have to say, I don't need them, you know? Like, it's kind of a nice spot. Hell yeah. It's a really nice place to be in, to not care what people think about you anymore. Except for right now, I care very deeply what y'all think about me. I care so bad. But I think I'm doing good. So, all right, cool. Okay, this weird poem. So I wrote all these poems in my writing circle. I run a weekly writing workshop where it's every Wednesday, started in 2020, and we're at the end of season 18 now. So that means every season's 10 weeks. That means I've done about 180 of these so far. But I give a couple of prompts, and we have some writing time. We all collectively write, and then we just read the poems we just wrote, which, like, reading a brand new, completely unedited first draft is like a terrifying thing, and I think it's important to do things that scare you. So anyway, the prompt that I gave that produced this poem is I was like, okay, so here's a list of cryptids. We're aware of what cryptids are, right? Y'all have maybe the best one. There's okay, because like cryptids are like animals that aren't real. Maybe Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, chupacabras. Chupacabras are real, but they're dogs with mange. Anyway, y'all have the Jersey Devil, which is like my favorite regional cryptid, because y'all love it so much. It's just like, y'all just embrace like, yeah, we do suck, hell yeah. Our regional animal is like a goat, bat, deer demon. Like, I'm like, oh God, you bunch of creeps. All right. Anyway, so the prompt was I gave them a list of like tiny regional cryptids, and I was like, pick one of them, pick the one you identify with the most. Don't make it the squonk, because the squonk is sad. But we'll talk about the squonk later. Anyway, all right. But I was like, pick your regional cryptid, and then that regional cryptid should be your spirit guide. It should be your psychopomp that leads you through a transitional space, right? So have them guide you from whatever state you're in now to the state you want to be in later. So I picked the Falk monster, also known as the Beast of Boggy Creek, he lives in like southwestern Arkansas, kind of near Texarkana. Which is not a good place. And Texarkana is it's a paper mill town, so it smells like farts. It sucks there, honestly. But the Falcon Monster lives there. So this poem is called Boggy Creek Must Be a Tributary of the River Styx. Author's note, the Falcon Monster, also known as the Beast of Boggy Creek, is the Bigfoot of southwestern Arkansas. He's 7 feet tall, has glowing red eyes, and he smells terrible. The author loves him. At the border of whenever and wherever, I meet the Falk Monster. His fingertips brush the tops of his impossibly hairy feet, and he smells, frankly, like farts. He grunts at me to follow him, and his grunts sound, unfortunately for him and me, like farts. We get the spirit guides we deserve. I'm not traversing the ether fast enough, so he takes my hand in his. His hair is bristly, but his palms are smooth, like an orangutan that's gotten a manicure. I try to ask him what it's like to be the only one of your kind, if it's lonely to be so lonely, or if you get comfortable with your thoughts when you have no choice but to confront them. Only the wind answers. We get to the precipice of nothing and look out over nothing, and nothing is below or above. We came from something, but that's nothing too. Your childhood home with a sign in front of it proclaiming sold, sidewalk chalk, devoured by a sinkhole. So here we are nowhere, and it's now, and Falky toots at me to jump. I tell him I'm scared, so he toots that with no ground to meet. Falling is just flying. I'm still hesitant, so he flings me off, because growth and healing don't happen on your timetable, Neil. You can't go nowhere and see the grand nothing if you stay in the nowhere that is your house. The house is warm, but you don't always have to be warm. The house holds you, even though you're capable of holding yourself. The house kept you safe, and maybe it's no longer useful to be safe. The Falk Monster is right. It's time to find out what's next. All right, y'all. I got a few more poems, and then we're gonna do a Q&A. And so start thinking about some questions you might want to ask me, whether it's about poems, the writing process, or what it's like to be a touring professional sad boy, or what the best sandwich is in literally any mid to large American city. Because I've been to most of them, and I have 1,000 pins in my Google Maps of where all the good sandwiches are. So I know. If you want to know where the sandwich is, it's in here. So, listen, I don't have a lot of useful knowledge. Most of the stuff that I know is like super specific, but I can tell you where the good Reubens are. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. A few poems. Yeah. All right. Okay, 2 kind of wistful poems. This next poem, I was talking to Suzanne about this. I don't normally read this, but it's kind of short, and it makes me really happy. We're talking about chickens, and I love my chickens very much. This is the first time I've ever had chickens, and I'm kind of making it like my whole thing. But I wrote this after one of them, Maybelle, laid an egg for the first time. So this is a sonnet. Sort of in the way that like poets write sonnets these days, where like there are like 3 main rules for sonnets. It needs to be 14 lines. It needs to be an iambic pentameter. Well, there's like 5, whatever. But like like 14 lines, iambic pentameter, like a certain rhyme scheme. There's a couple of them, and then like there should be a volta in line 8-ish. But a lot of modern poets are like, mine's gonna be 14 lines and it's gonna be 10 syllables in each line, but it's not gonna rhyme. So that's what I did. So this is called Hen Sonnet, or Good Morning Ladies, which is what I say to the chickens every morning when I let them out and collect eggs. Okay. I know I'm letting owning chickens become like my whole deal, but I don't get to choose the way wonderment arrives to me. Yesterday, Maybelle, once the tiniest of the four hens, shy Maybelle, who wouldn't dare receive from you a bit of berry, scared Maybelle, all flapping of wings and clatter of talons on the tile. Maybelle was the first of my first chickens to lay an egg. She'd been yelling all day in case somebody nearby didn't know she was accomplishing something. An ode to May, smallest parade. Ode to May, round harbinger of the morning. Hail Maybelle, without whom there would be no breakfast. I love Maybelle. She's so small and cute. I love her. She's the other chickens will get in your lap and snuggle you because we've had them since they were a day old. But like May is like does not need me at all, which makes me want to love her even more because I'm damaged. Okay. Okay. All right. That's what's up. All right. I'll do a few more poems. Okay. One poem about space. Cover and then the closer. Here we go. This poem, I love this poem, and it's one of the only old poems in this. It's one of the only poems I wrote before 2020, but I loved it so much, and it could not be in here. It's about the Mars rover, the Opportunity rover. So I wrote this after she died, but she died, and I started like scream crying, right? Because. Because I didn't know why at the time, and then I thought really hard about it, and I was like, oh, it's because it's about like intense loneliness. This is maybe the greatest example of loneliness I could have come up with, So here we go. This poem's called Opportunity, Wake Up. On Mars, in the middle of a dust storm, the last words of the Opportunity rover were, "My battery is low, and it's getting dark." Sure, they weren't words, they were readings, but the readings were low battery, blocked solar panels. For a month of Earth time, there'd been a dust storm, and her solar panels were shrouded in stellar debris, her small wings in a small world covered in dirt. She wouldn't have enough power to start back up once the sun returned. Her. The NASA engineers called the rover Her, affectionately referred to her as Oppie. Oppie, this little robot so far from home, was only supposed to last for 6 months, and here she was, 15 years later, finding evidence of water and singing herself happy birthday. She was a sparrow over blue ocean. She was shipwrecked on a sparse red island. Oppie, small metal dog. Hope on 6 wheels. Daydream that maybe we are not alone. Oppie, how'd you do it? I get lonely halfway between my house and Chicago. I feel lonesome when the cell service drops out. If I'm alone in a hotel room for 2 days, I forget how to speak. What if over the next ridge is nothing? What if all this work was to get somewhere and no one is alive? What message can I scrawl in the dirt if 1,000 years from now an object flies overhead snapping pictures? What SOS will say I was here, and I tried so hard to be here? Oppie, where do we go when our work is done? And how will we know when it's time? The NASA engineers, reaching toward their still and silent friend, played her songs through the radio. Rocket Man, Space Oddity, I Will Survive, The Trooper, Dust in the Wind, Here Comes the Sun. She couldn't hear. She never could. She's a robot, after all. But they still wanted their little buddy to know how alone she never was. Opportunity, wake up, they said. Opportunity, we miss you. Oppie, we love you. We do. Good night. All right, 2 more poems, and then give me like half a second to just shake and shiver and stuff, and then we'll do a little Q&A, and then I'll just be hanging out. Go hang out. Go hang out with the bookstore with my fine bookstore gentleman back there, and snag a book. I'll be up here signing stuff. But even if you don't got a book, man, this doesn't have to be transactional. I just love to shake your hand and say thanks for being here, because like this is my dream job, and if you weren't here, I couldn't do it. So I just want to say thanks. That's all I really want. So hell yeah. All right. Okay, 2 more poems. I debated doing these because they feel a little. You'll get it, man. But it feels important. I went back and forth, and I really want to do this. I've been doing a thing where I'm doing, musicians do covers all the time. And I thought, why can't poets do covers? Especially when they maybe could bring something new to that poem. So this is a poem by our poet laureate, Ada Limon, who, hell yeah, is not only like one of my favorite, she was already one of my favorite poets before she became poet laureate, but she's like, I don't know, she's the first one that I've really clicked with. Like, shout out forever to Tracy K. Smith and Joy Harjo and Billy Collins and a bunch of folks, but like, I don't know, Ada Limon, I think Ada Limon gets me. So I want to do this poem. It feels pertinent right now. It's called The New National Anthem. The truth is, I've never cared for the national anthem. If you think about it, it's not a good song. Too high for most of us with the rocket's red glare, and then there are the bombs. Always there is war and bombs. Once I sang it at homecoming and threw even the tenacious high school band off key, but the song didn't mean anything. Just a call to the field, something to get through before the pummeling of youth. And what of the stanzas we never sing? The third that mentions no refuge could save the hireling and the slave. Perhaps the truth is that every song of this country has an unsung third stanza, something brutal snaking underneath us as we blindly sing the high notes with a beer sloshing in the stands, hoping our team wins. Don't get me wrong, I do like the flag, how it undulates in the wind like water, elemental, and best when it's humbled, brought to its knees, clung to by someone who has lost everything, when it's not a weapon, when it flickers, when it folds up so perfectly you can keep it until it's needed, until you can love it again, until the song in your mouth feels like sustenance, a song where the notes are sung by even the ageless woods, the short grass plains, the Red River Gorge, the fistful of land left unpoisoned. That song that's our birthright, that's sung in silence when it's too hard to go on. It sounds like someone's rough fingers weaving into another's. It sounds like a match being lit in an endless cave. The song that says, my bones are your bones, and your bones are my bones. And isn't that enough? Thanks, y'all. Ada Limon, she's the check out her book, The Carrying. That's where that comes from. Yeah, she's, I love her. Okay, here we go. Last poem. Last poem. The worst thing about being naked and then being hit by a car is that road rash is a problem for skin. Why was I naked in the middle of the road at noon? I'm glad you asked. Imaginary other half of this conversation, I have no idea. Some characteristics of bipolar disorder can include dissociation, hallucinations, and fugue states, so sometimes I wake up in places I did not go to sleep. So, there I am, nude, splayed out on the hood of a car like a slutty chicken, and I'm screaming about the government conspiracy to take away my feet. Not my real feet, just my brain feet. And I'm about 6 inches away from the concrete when I realize, in slow motion, like the exact opposite of a rhinoceros attack, this is not how I imagined my life would turn out. When I was little, I broke both my ankles jumping off a roof because I was sure a cape would enable me to fly. My parents attributed this to my strong imagination. Last year, my therapist called it a delusion. I failed to see the difference. Also, I really can fly and see the future and make stupid people leave coffee shops with my mind. 43% of the time. Sometimes I see people as colors. The point is, here's a list of things that my brain has told me to do. Join a cult. Start a cult. Become a cabinet maker. Kill myself. So, in essence, become a cabinet maker. Break into and then paint other people's houses. Have sex with literally everyone who reminds me of my mother. Fight animals that are much fightier than me, like bears. So, in essence, kill myself. I think I think a lot about killing myself. Not like a point on a map, but rather like a glowing exit sign to show it's never been quite bad enough to make me want to leave. See, when I'm up, I don't kill myself because holy there is so much left to do. And when I'm down, I don't kill myself because then the sadness would be over. And the sadness is my old pain under the new. The sadness is the house fire or the broken shoulder. I'd still be me without it, but I'd be so boring. They keep telling me seeing things that aren't technically there is called disturbed cognitive functioning. I call it having a superpower. Once I pulled over on the freeway and jumped out of my old red Jeep because I saw it burst into flames 20 seconds before it actually burst into flames. I knew my wife and I would be together because she was bright pink the first time she saw me. I know tomorrow's gonna come because I've seen it. Sunrise is going to come. All you have to do is wake up. The future has been at war, but it's coming home so soon. The future is the map and the treasure. The future looks like a child in a cape. The future is just like gravity. Everyone is slowly drifting toward everyone else. We will all be part of each other one day. The future is a blue sky and a full tank of gas. I saw the future. I did. And in it, I was alive. Thanks so much, y'all. You're the best. I love you. Thank you. Down now. I'm ready when you are.
Okay.
Oh.
I gotta say, these were the first two I saw.
Oh, look at you.
I didn't even finish talking. There you go. Your questions are on film, so into the mic if you would.
Hello.
Hi.
First of all, I want to say that this was like an amazing experience. You were like one of the first people to introduce me to slam poetry, so like this is awesome. I wanted to know like what your process is going about like putting, how you think about putting the like. Oh my gosh, I can't.
You're good.
Sorry.
You're good. Take your time.
How you go about like spacing out where you put your poems as far as like how many like sad poems you would put in a book and then how many like funny poems you would put in a book and then like how they're spaced out between the pages and stuff. How you go about doing that.
Totally. I like to think about the way the book. Thank you for that, by the way. That was rad. What's your name? Trinity. Hey. I think about putting a book together the same way I think about putting a set list together, where I try to think about like an emotional arc, right? And the set list is a little bit more smoothed out because like when I'm when I'm like saying things out loud, you only get one shot at hearing it, right? So it needs to be a little bit. You need to be able to get it on the first try, right? When I'm putting together a set list, I like to go. It's funny, the poems change, but the emotional arc stays the same. Where I'm like interesting and high energy, then funny, then really sad, then anthemic, And in the book, specifically with this book, when I was putting together that emotional arc, I was trying to mirror the arc that I went through from 2020 to 2023, right? And so with this one in particular, this is so pretentious, but I was like, okay, what if I do this like Homeric, like in Medias Res thing, where I drop us like right in the middle of, with the first poem, I'm like, okay, it's the middle of quarantine, stuff's really bad, I'm maybe gonna die, right? And so with this one, the emotional arc was pain into healing, basically. And so I just wanted to think about like, what's the story a lot of these poems are trying to tell, and how can I mirror that story with the construction of the book? So it's effectively it's just vibes, dude. You just gotta think about the vibes you want, and then you just do it, Yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Magnus.
Hey,
it's
Magnus.
absolutely incredible meeting you.
It's great to meet you.
Similarly to many other people in this room, I'm sure you and other button poetry artists have really kickstarted my focus on poetry.
Oh, dope.
With being a poet and a performer, when you're going through your manuscript, how do you decide what reads well on paper versus what reads well when you actually perform it?
Yeah, for sure. It's a two-step process. Literally, the first thing I did was I just read every poem out loud to myself. You know, it wasn't myself. I was reading it to my dogs, but they don't give a about me. But no, they do, just not my feelings. You know. But anyway, so I just literally just went front to back and I just read every poem out loud and just saw like what grabbed me, what was there maybe like what new thing did I get when I read it out loud, and then that narrowed it down a little bit, and then I started. I just did a few live streams on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and like did those out loud, and then saw like, okay, what do people react to? Like what feels fun to read. Then there's an open mic in my in the town I live near, and I like just did some poems at the open mic, saw how that felt. So it's literally like it's just a testing process, and like I've had this manuscript has been in mostly this form for like a year now. So like I've been sitting with these poems for a while, and I've had a lot of time to practice with them and figure it out. But yeah, it's not, I don't know, I don't think there's any magic formula. It's just like, this could be fun. Let's see what happens. And if it bombs, I know that I'm a good enough poet and performer that I'm not gonna bomb next time. You know? So yeah, that's about it, man.
Other questions?
Hi. So first of all, I'm Deja. But this is actually my first time, like, even hearing your name, which was, by the way, really epic performance. Like,
Thank
you're
you.
probably, like, I've been to a lot of these, and you're my favorite so far. But my question is, you seem to have a really good balance between intensely, like, funny, but also like intense like seriousness and reality. So I guess my question is, how do you mentally manage that within your writing?
You mean like, how do I decide like, okay, I've done enough funny and now it's time to be serious? It's honestly, I'm a deeply unserious person. So I skew toward funny. And so like most of my first drafts, I'm not the kind of person that can just rip out a first draft and have it be perfect. I firmly believe that editing is writing. And most of the good lines that I've ever written have come in 4th, 5th, 10th drafts. You know what I mean? So a lot of my first drafts have way more jokes in them because I'm uncomfortable being vulnerable. And so I'll read those out loud. And sometimes, sometimes I'll like read a first draft in my writing circle, and we've gotten to know each other enough that they're like, hey, Neil, what if you were serious about this? And I'm like, okay. Or sometimes, sometimes I just know, like sometimes even the first time I read something out loud, I'm like, oh, I'm joking around too much. I'm messing around. This is actually a serious thing. You should be vulnerable about, Neil. And then sometimes I ask my wife, I'm like, hey, you know me very much. Am I just joking to avoid something? Or is there value in making this a little bit lighter of a topic, So I think that's sort of like my general philosophy about like editing is like just find the people that you really trust and listen to them when it shows up,
Thank you.
I had a question. Did you study creative writing or anything like that, or is it an outlet that you found later on?
I study creative writing. Yeah, I have a degree in creative writing from McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota, when I just always knew I wanted to be a writer. I never assumed I'd be doing this for a living because this obviously existed, but it didn't, like poetry wasn't a thing on the internet when I like went to college and started doing creative writing. So I just assumed I didn't know what I thought I'd do with it, but I was like, I got to learn about this because it's the only thing. It's the only thing at the intersection of what I'm good at and what I care about, And so I got a creative writing degree, and then because I was in the slam poetry world in the Twin Cities, I just kept having events to go to and kept getting bigger and bigger tournaments to show up at. And then we filmed OCD, and then it went viral, and now it's 11 years later, and it's still my full-time job, So, but all that is to say, you don't have to have a creative writing degree to be good at poems. Like even a little tiny bit, You don't even have to. Okay. As an example, one of my good friends and favorite poets, Hugh Wynn, dope poet by the way. Check out his book, Not Here. One of my favorite poetry books, which is cool because we're also friends and we've toured together, and I've slept in many hotel rooms with the man. Anyway, he didn't go to undergrad, doesn't have a bachelor's degree, but he got because of the quality of his work and because of the quality of his publications, he got an MFA and he's getting a PhD at Stanford right now. You know what I mean? So it is by no means a requirement to study creative writing to be good at poems. So that's all I have to say about that. Okay.
Getting involved on Brookdale Community College's campus is an integral part of your educational experience. There is something for everyone. We have over 50 clubs and organizations, complemented by multiple events that happen on campus, whether it be lectures, bands, comedians, or just special events. It is statistically proven that students that get involved have a higher GPA, have a higher academic success, have more retention, and also complete their college degree. So when you come to Brookdale, there is something for everyone, so get involved.
Discover limitless opportunities at Brookdale, ranked the #1 community college in New Jersey. Unlock your potential with nearly 70 associate degree programs, including cutting-edge courses in our cybersecurity center, and join our competitive esports team. Elevate your educational journey with transfer pathways.
One question I had was, what was the process in creating this book? Did you actually plan the book out, or did you have a bunch of poems that you had already and was like, I should make this a book?
Yeah, it's funny. So this book, so at the end of 2019, I had a manuscript finished. I had a fully written manuscript of just the poems that I'd written since my second book, Feature, came out, and I had just finished touring, and I was like, all right, it's time to put out another book. And then a lot of stuff happened in 2020 that made those poems feel irrelevant. Not that they were bad necessarily, but I didn't believe in them. It didn't feel like the world needed them at all. And so I tossed pretty much everything. I saved 2 poems that ended up in this book. And then at that point, honestly, because also touring wasn't a thing anymore, and that's, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm never gonna put out a book again. I mean, I'm never gonna tour again, so maybe I won't put out a book. I don't know. Maybe I quit, right? And after I wallowed in self-pity for a while, my wife was like, hey, you gotta figure out a way to do poems again. So I started my writing circle, which I've been running every Wednesday night for the last 4 years, and literally I just I thought originally, I was like, I'm just going to give these prompts, and then people are going to write poems, and I'm going to run an open mic, and then we're going to be done. And then it was just, I was like, well, they're being quiet and writing, so maybe I should write. And then I just kind of casually, not thinking about it, wrote at least 2 poems a week, every week, for years. And then suddenly I had a book, And so this book is only, it's not all the poems that I wrote. If you do that math, right, it's a lot of poems. I wrote probably 250-ish poems over the course of 2.5 years, which for a lot of poets is a lot. They'll tell you they write every day. They don't. Poets don't write every day. Nobody does that. Nobody has that discipline, And so I just whittled it down to my favorite poems. But no, so that's a long way to say I didn't think I was writing a book. I thought I was just writing a poem every week because I could and because it was fun and I had these folks in front of me. But and then I kind of looked around. I was like, oh man, I was processing a lot of stuff and it tells a cohesive story. So I guess I got to figure out how that is a book now. So yeah, especially if you're thinking about putting together a book, poetry book, you can have it be cohesive and have one overarching narrative, or you can just put together your favorite poems, and that's a poetry collection,
So I wanted to ask, I'm going to give you a little backstory first, but
Cool.
So I've officially been married to this gentleman here for 2 years.
Congrats.
Mostly due in part to you helping me learn to value my life and stay alive. So thank you for that.
My question to you, as a fellow married, is what's your favorite part of marriage?
Oh, dog. It is, it's, what's my favorite part of marriage? I said this before, and maybe this isn't, I don't know, maybe this isn't as cool as it could be, but like, it's literally that like I have a built-in best friend, you know? And we just, I don't know, maybe some people want to hang out with other folks, but I'm like, no, I have Annie, and she's who I mostly want to spend time with. And then like, sometimes I get to hang out with other people, maybe, but like, I don't have to. The person, what I'm trying to say is, the person that I want to be around the most is the person that I get to be around the most, you know? And that feels really cool, and like a thing not everybody gets to experience. So I try to be really, really mindful of how lucky I am to have a woman who is smart and amazing and my best friend and like super hot. You know what I mean? It's like pretty dope. It's pretty sick, honestly. Like I really, I'm just like I'm doing pretty good, man. It's a terrible way to end this. All right, y'all are the best. Thank you so much for being here.